Welcome to Team Perry's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Perry and Lori Finkelstein. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
With Gabriel Cordell, who is probably one of the strongest people you will ever meet. And we'll find out why. Gabriel is now living in California, and he was born in Libya, and he came to New York, specifically, I believe, West Hempstead, where we are, in 1976. At the age of 22, life changed for you, and we want to hear how it changed and where your life is right now.
First of all, it's so great to see both of you. It's been 7 years. I've had more roles since then, but it's been 7 years. And actually, this time, today, 7 years ago, I was probably still rolling through Pennsylvania. But yeah, I had dreams and aspirations when I was young, and my goal was to become an actor. And I finally convinced my parents, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And as long as I keep my obligations to the family, anything else I do with my life is solely on me. And I will make those decisions solely based on my happiness. So I did. And October 17, 1992, I get my first professional audition. I get into my Jeep. I head out into Manhattan, and about 1.5 miles from the house, I get hit by a car who ran a red light. My Jeep flipped. I flew out, hit a telephone pole with my back, and that was it. My life changed forever. Paralyzed from my mid-chest down. And but that didn't deter me from pursuing my acting career, because I knew that my accident was an accident, but it wasn't by accident. And I had to figure out what this means. And I went on and it's kept pursuing my acting career, now in a wheelchair. And I did that and I'm still doing it now, but I really was vigilant with my acting career for probably 15 years. And then, I started getting a little tired, run down. I never focused on what happened to me and my accident and everything I lost, because I just focused on my acting. And then everything came to a head. And I guess in around 2008, I decided to check out of reality, to hang up everything and just become a full-time drug addict. That was my first stepping out, which was in the bad zone, in the bad way. And it just felt like I just didn't want to try. I didn't want to try anymore. I was tired and I was defeated. And so that's what I did for 5 years. I checked out and I did drugs. I did coke, crystal meth every day for 5 years. And as weird as this may sound, it was probably the best thing that happened to me, because it made me dig much, much deeper within myself to find out what kind of a man I am and what kind of a man do I want to be. And so 5 years into this major addiction, I met a person who planted a seed within me. And 2 years later, that seed manifested into the role across America, which I went from one extreme of being a total drug addict, a full-time drug addict, but to 5 years later, looking to wanting to roll my wheelchair across America. And so I cleaned up and I got better and I started training and found a support group, and just decided that I'm going to do this. And I rolled across America in 2013, 3,100 miles through 13 states, 100 days, an average of 31 miles a day. And that changed my life in every way possible. Some good and some not. Most 99% of it good. The one negative is that the physical toll it took on me.
We met you that day that you rolled into West Hempstead, the last day, the 100th day. That's when
Yes.
Perry had come home from camp, and I said, Perry, we're not even going home. We're going straight to see Gabriel cross over at the finish line and finish his role. And she had no idea, obviously, who you were at that point. She was a little girl. And I think you had come to our house 3 days later to talk about it, which you should know changed our lives, because we began to look at things totally differently, seeing what was possible, not what was impossible, but what was possible. And you spoke very candidly to a group of us outside of my house on the deck. And
I still have the picture.
Oh, so do we.
I still have the picture.
I remember you saying that you knew the physical toll it would have on you and your shoulders, and you were always wondering, because Perry faces this every time she walks in her gait trainer, am I going to hurt myself so that I can't take care of myself the way I need to take care of myself just because I want to achieve greatness? Right. And it's something that you have to think about, whether you just want to live your life playing it safe, or you want to try to achieve greatness like you have, and like Perry does every time she's in her gait trainer, and take a risk. Are you still a risk taker like that?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because, well, obviously, after I did the roll across America, I went to Israel the following year, and I rolled for peace there. To raise money for the Motivational Animal League America. And then I took a break. I fostered a kid for a year and a half. I took in a foster kid for a year and a half, and that was very challenging, and had to take care of my dying dad in those 2 years. And then in 18, I went and became the first person to summit Pikes Peak, 14,115 feet. And it took me 10 hours to climb up that mountain. And I was feeling great. I was like, wow, I really trained. I overtrained for that one.
Right.
And so I was feeling great. So now I rolled as far as I can across America. I rolled up as high as I can up America. Now the only thing to complete the trifecta, which I created, was to roll in the most extreme conditions in America, which was supposed to be last year, Death Valley in July. Unfortunately, my body was not having it. So I decided, let me take a break. Just let me take a break. And so I went at it this year again, and I started training, and my body was just not holding up. It wasn't recovering well. The pain I was feeling every day was just horrible. I couldn't sleep. And this was one of the moments in my life where, what do I do? Do I continue to try and roll and continue putting this toll on my body? Or do I say, listen, I've done what I could, and now it's time for me to hang up my gloves, because I want to be able to live a pretty healthy, pain-free life for the rest of my life, however long that may be. And I knew that if I did Death Valley, that it would have been more difficult than the roll across America, believe it or not. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, because how intense it was. And so I made a decision. Well, my body made my decision for me, that I could no longer do these extreme rolls. And it was very, very disheartening, and it was very depressing, because my career my rolling career has come to an end. And how do I fill that? How do I fill that gap? And so I'm still going through it. You know, I just made the decision last month that my rolling is finished. And so it's been a struggle. But what I learned through all of this, through the last 7 years, and the people that I've affected all around the world, is that as great as the vehicle of rolling is to affect people, the most important thing is to affect people.
Right.
It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you are making a difference in people's lives. And that's what I had to come up with for me to be able to be okay with this decision, is how do I give back? How do I continue to affect people's lives in the most positive way?
Right.
And so this is my transition now. This is what I'm going through right now. And for me, you know, I'm not thinking about rolling, because I honestly wake up every day in pain, every day. And so right now I have my orientation for the LA's Children's Hospital, so I can go volunteer at the LA Children's Hospital, which brings me back full circle, because when I got into my accident, I spent 3 months in the pediatrics ward.
Right.
And spending those 3 months in the pediatrics ward changed my life. I tell people, being in the pediatrics ward in those 3 months changed my life more than the actual accident changed my life. And so,
Gabriel, you and Perry, very similar in your approach to life, because what you were saying is Perry spent many, many weeks and months as a child in the hospital also. Yeah. I think it changed her, but it probably changed her family's life more so, just seeing everything. And Perry was too young, you know, to remember. She was, you know, like 2 years old to like 13 years old. That's when she was really sick. But when you talk about the drive that you have and the high achievement that you push yourself for, Perry has the same thing. I'm wondering if it's in your DNA, it's something you always would have had, or is it just something that clicked in the two of you throughout your lives that gives you this drive? I have never seen it in anybody besides you and Perry as intensely as I do.
Also, I'm always in pain also.
Right,
So
she's always in pain.
I handle it.
right.
Like, and how do you push yourself? You were saying that you were disappointed in yourself, and 1 year Perry was going to walk, I think, 2 miles, and she did 1.5 miles instead, marathon. And I was so happy for her, and she sore for weeks and weeks after. And she said, and somebody interviewed her, and she said, you know, I'm pretty disappointed in myself that I didn't achieve what I set out to achieve. And I looked at her and I said, what's wrong with you? You know, what you achieved was amazing, what you did. And people saw you do it, and you inspired people. And she had to deal with that. She had to process it. And I think you need to process it, because if you could see yourself the way we see you, you would be so great with it. You'd be like, okay, like you are a motivational speaker. You've inspired, as I mentioned before we started, you've inspired Perry tremendously in her pursuit of her dreams, whether it's going to be graduating from college and then getting an MBA, and then the marathons that she does for raising money. You know, you've inspired in her, you've shown her, because you are, you know, more of an adult than she is. You're a little bit older than she is. You've inspired her in your life and the way that you conducted it, and how you bounced back from probably, I don't know what would be worse, your accident or your drug addiction. I mean, probably the second. You bounced back from such hard things in your life that most people never do.
And how you use your wheels.
Right, and how you use your wheels. I mean, your wheelchair is, you rolled across America in a wheelchair that was made out of metal and like no cushioning. You had nothing going on there. Pair of gloves and your biceps. You No, you inspired me. You know, I'll complain I'm tired. I think, well, look what Gabriel did. You know, be quiet and just do what you got to do. And that's what I do. So your reach is for people who have disabilities, for people with no disabilities. Your courage and your representation of who a man is goes beyond, I think, what you even realize. So you have to understand you can't be disappointed in yourself and what you've done with your life so far, because it's been incredible. And yet, working with kids in a hospital, that's like awesome. You have so much to give to people. You high achievers, I don't know what's wrong with you people, but Perry has the same thing, the same exact mentality.
Let me tell you something. Listen, you know, when I started this wasn't about inspiring people. This was about, can I live up to the man I think I am, right? The person I think I am. That's what it was about. But quickly you find out when one person comes up to you emotionally and just shares with you what you're doing and how much it means to them. It's a very humbling experience. And if you're not in the moment, taking everything in, you're gonna lose, and you're just gonna focus on your achievement and not focus on what your achievement can accomplish.
Right.
And so I get Perry and her disappointments, and that's what makes her continue to go back. That's what continues to make us want to try. And when we fall short, we're not happy. As much as the journey is important, right? And that's what I'm learning, Perry, okay, is by not trying, you failed, right? You may have not succeeded in that 2 mile. I may have not succeeded with the Death Valley, but the fact that we tried is all that we are obligated to do. Is all that we can do is try. And at some point, unfortunately, your physical body catches up with your mental state, right? My mental state is I can go and roll America again. My physical body is telling me you can't even roll across West Hempstead, but I could. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? And so it definitely is a balance, you know, where you can't, it's so easy to lose the big, you know, the big picture of even if you roll the block, walk the block, you're going to still be inspiring people. It doesn't matter what the end result is. It's the journey that people are going to respond to. You know, I'm fortunate that I got to finish the roll across America, right? To see a completion. But all those people I met along the way, they had no idea I was going to finish, but they were still inspired.
Right.
You know, the people I met in Texas, the people I met in Pennsylvania, the people I met in Arizona, they were just as inspired as the people I met at the finish line. So, and that's what is most important, to understand that as great as it is to have the end result, but that mile and a half that you walked, you know how many people you inspired in that mile and a half? More than you could ever imagine. Like, people tell me, you have no idea. I'm very fortunate that I still get emails and I'm still doing podcasts around the world, you know, and sharing my story. And I never know, because I think, oh, what am I doing now? What am I doing now? I got to do something. Everything that you do continues to live on. You know, that mile and a half walk, you probably affected somebody that you have no idea, that you'll never know, you'll never meet.
Right.
But that mile and a half was a lifetime for them of inspiration. And that's the thing. But don't ever lose that. Don't ever lose that competitive edge, that, you know, of trying and wanting to complete what you set out to do. But also, don't be discouraged if you don't, because in that process, you are going to affect people, whether you like it or not, and whether you know it or not. And
So,
that's what I'm learning now. That's what I'm learning now.
so growing up, Gabriel, would you ever thought that you would be this person that you are today?
I hope to be this person I was today. When I was young, I knew that my life meant something, that I was special in my own way. That, and listen, my parents didn't sit here and tell me, "You're a special boy. You're
Right.
gonna be great when you." They didn't tell me any of that. But I knew intuitively, I knew that my life was worth something, and that I had a purpose, and that I can make a difference. I knew that from a very young age. I just didn't know the vehicle that I was going to be able to show that. And plus, I also made a promise, and I've said this, and I know it's cheesy, but I promised myself when I was 18 years old that I will accomplish something extraordinary in my life. Okay, and this was before my accident. So something that had to do with wheelchair was not even on the in my mind, because I was still able-bodied. But I promised that I was going to do something extraordinary. And it did take me 25 years to figure it out, but I never gave up on that goal that I set out for myself. And and you know, and that's the thing, you have to keep reinventing yourself. The older you get, the harder it is to reinvent. You still got a long way to go, Perry, to keep reinventing yourself, hon. And but it's you have to find meaning and purpose. And I think with me and Perry, our goals are to affect in a positive way as many people as we can. Money is not my driving force. It's great if I make it, I'm blessed and I'm happy and I'm thankful, but that's not what gets me up every day.
Right.
And the fact with this coronavirus and not being able to do anything and communicate with people, because this whole listen, as much as I appreciate this whole telecommunicating thing, there's such a disconnect. There's such a disconnect, and I'm a people person. When I go and I speak, I feed off the energy of the people,
Right.
and so it's something that is a constant. You have to constantly work, but as long as you don't lose sight of what's most important, I think you'll find other avenues when you can't walk anymore, or you can't do the marathons anymore. You'll find some other way to inspire people and to motivate yourself. I'm sure of that. And you talk about greatness, right? So here's what I found out about greatness. Um, I think greatness is a multifaceted. Um, it's multifaceted. It's not just what have I physically done, okay, that very few people in the world has done, that will make me achieve greatness. Greatness is not just about your accomplishments, right? That's one part of it, but the most important part of greatness is serving others. That is what true greatness is. I mean, yes, I did all these roles and I finished them, and that's great and everything. But if not one person was affected in a positive way by them, then honestly, at the end of the day, as great as the achievement was, means nothing. If no one, yeah, it may have changed my life, but if it didn't change anyone's life, then what's the point? And that's what I'm finding out more and more, is that yes, I can't live every moment of my life trying to make other people's lives better, but I can sure make that a very important part of my life for the rest of my life. You know, I'm going to challenge myself and do the LA Marathon next year
Wow.
because of you. Because if you can still continue to do it, I may not have to roll across America or roll Death Valley, but I can sure challenge myself to do a marathon, which is hard enough. But because of you,
Awesome.
I'm doing that.
Well, you better get
So
off your behind and start training, Gabriel.
I will give myself 3 months to train. So I got a little while before I start training, let my body recover. But you see what I'm saying? And listen, Perry, the most inspirational people in the world also need to be inspired. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So as much as I've inspired people around the world, I still need inspiration to continue to do it, you know? And so I want to thank you for inspiring me to challenge myself one more time next year.